Good morning. I really didn't intend to do any kind of video today, but God, there's so much of this stuff that's coming out. It cries out for commentary, and I don't see a whole lot of commentary out there, much as I would like to pack up my ICAC Unpacked channel at some point here in the near future. But I am going to talk about two related things having to do with ICAC. The first one is a short clip, very excellent clip that the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, the NADCL, if I got that right, puts out because it shows the extent to which ICAC is going the extra mile to basically incriminate people and how the system, even at its best day, is seriously flawed. I'm also going to take you through a very sad case of a young man here in Virginia um, that got in trouble for what appears to be child pornography. And I have to keep saying appears to be because, excuse me, because you never really know. And we will look at what the police have to say about it as well. It is worth asking the question that politicians in this article never ask. With all the talk about unfairness and police leading people on and entrapping them, you would think that the politicians would give a damn about multiple victims, including adult victims of overzealous policing. Excuse me, but they have shown no interest in doing this whatsoever because it's not politically in their best interest to do so. That's different than saying justice is blind, we'll go without fear or favor because clearly they show fear or favor. The Epstein files were released according to law through the discharge petition yesterday, and page after page after page, the entire page has been redacted. And remembering what Speaker Johnson said, they want to protect all the victims. That includes the wealthy and powerful who are suspected of abusing girls and whom these now women, formerly girls, have said, yeah, they abused us. So we have to protect them too, because they're rich donors and they're powerful and they can really hurt us and our political fortunes. So we're just going to make up a raft of excuses to protect them. So none of these politicians, many of whom are Democrats here too, so I'm not showing fear or favor, are coming to this article about this young Democratic operative with any kind of introspection, with any kind of, well, let's see how it goes. We have been hearing reports of ICAC overreach, and, let's just see where this comes out. No, they said, we're happy to be on the side of the police and justice. And of course, as I'm about to show you in this article, I'm sorry, in this clip, that's not always what happens. So let me start with this clip that I was given by, let's see if I can actually do this. I don't know if I can. The clip that was given, I guess I got to go to this one first. That was given by the by Mark out west. And I'm indebted to Mark out west because he's got excellent laser vision and sees these. You can see this is coming from the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. Let's just listen to this, okay? This is pretty extraordinary when you get right down to it. This is a speech he's giving. This gentleman, I'd love to contact him because this just shows what ICAC does and how the system is broken at some level. Here, just listen to this.
Let me tell you why this case is super important. It's Walshy versus Verizon Wireless. Mr. Walshy had erectile dysfunction. Him and his wife went to the doc, and the doc said, it's all in your head. Go watch something. So his wife downloads a couple files to his phone. They sync with Verizon Cloud. Verizon tags in his child. We send it down to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. NCMEC forwards it directly to Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force Command Office. Is unconfirmed. That means NCMEC has never looked at the file, ever. The task force went to the child protection team doctor who signed an affidavit saying it's a child underneath the age of 10 because the description of the file in the government's database says it's a child underneath the age of 10. The girl's 23 and clearly is not a child. They charged them. They smeared him in national news, and they were wrong. Most of the cases you're getting, the prosecutor has never seen the files. They are charging these before they even see it. They dismissed the criminal case. He filed a civil suit against them. We had some really interesting depositions in which Verizon had to admit to a lot of things, got caught, and I'm going to say it, perjuring themselves. The entire legal team for Verizon got fired immediately. There was panic, and there's a substantial settlement that has been offered, and our client says, absolutely not. I want double that, enough to buy an island.
Subscribe to the NACDL channel.
Let me
Okay.
tell you why this case is.
Okay, so you can see how this works. I'm going to come off of this for a minute. You can see how this works, okay? In the worst possible way. And again, I'm not saying child pornography does not happen. Obviously, I'm not saying people don't engage with it. I'm not saying that police are always wrong, okay? I'm giving them much more of the benefit of the doubt than they've given me or any of us sitting on the ugly side of law who have been entrapped by law enforcement. But it's important to ask the questions if you're being really open-minded. What did the police do? What did they say? When did they act? So I'm going to share with you this other screen that delves into those issues, okay? So here we have here the article on Virginia Democratic operative arrested on child pornography charges. Okay, this is a sad case. It's a young man who clearly has gotten, some interest in this. I won't even begin to say he does not. His name is Randy Sprinkle, and he worked with the Virginia Democratic Party. And again, this is not a party issue, okay? Democrats or Republicans. I have made that point too. But it talks about in this article, and so I want to take a moment to go after the media a little bit. Um, it says in this article they make a big deal in this 9-page affidavit, which I'm going to go over with you, that says Mr. Sprinkle was on Telegram where a lot of this nasty stuff happens, and apparently they had arrested, if I remember correctly, the CEO of Telegram for allowing some of this stuff to go on there. And he was released in Paris, France, and I don't know much about his case and whether it is pending or not. But certainly they have been looking into the providers like Telegram and Discord. But the article makes a big to-do about what he wrote, mostly into young rape and incest. You, and then of course all the people who wagged their finger at him and everything. Oh, they're shocked and amazed. Okay, fine, you're shocked and amazed. Okay, great. And then they go on to talk about the files, etc. But I want to focus, like I said, just on this part right here, the 9-page affidavit, where they tell you what Mr. Sprinkles said. They don't tell you what the police said. So let's look at this affidavit. Okay. And I've gone down to the section here that is probable cause. This is a federal case. And in this federal case, let's get the guys down here. So they evaluated the Mr. Sprinkle. They were monitoring him from the Washington field office, which is out in satellite office in Manassas, Virginia. Okay, not far from where I am here. And this is the FBI Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force, which is clearly, working in tandem with ICAC. If it's not the same thing, it looks like the same thing with a different name. But let's look at some of the things that the officer of the law says. He says, in the capacity of working online, he says the OCE, this is the undercover operative here, the OCE was monitoring an online dating application called Jacked. This is, I think, if I remember correctly, a gay app. Um, and the OCE maintains a profile on the dating application that indicates OCE is interested in the sexual exploitation of children. So right away, they're not monitoring anybody who they have, fingered as somebody who is going to do this. They have an open profile page, as he says here, where they say it's where their ad says no limits dad looking for like-minded friends. Okay? It says it right there. Why are they having this bait sitting out there? Okay? They're not investigating anybody in particular. They're doing a virtue test. That's what they're doing. So, that's my first problem with it. Okay. The OCE was contacted, even though, again, I'm not approving anything Randy says. I'm going to be called a bunch of names, but I'm just saying it bears repeating. They have a long-standing open app in all of these profiles where they are going after you just because you're on the app. So here we have, let's talk about how they are going after Randy here. So Randy says, according to the OCE in May, they say he was contacted by the user with the display name Randy. Okay. All right, very often we see that police are going after them. Let's take that into account. But then we have a partial conversation. We don't know what happened, folks. That's why you don't judge. That's why these politicians should be more circumspect. We don't know. But everybody rushes to a microphone to wag their finger, all right? And as we've seen, politicians get caught up in this. And this is part of a larger war on sex where we are, you know, we've got a lot of things going on here. And we have people who are getting in trouble for all kinds of things, and we don't know everything that's really happening. And the only thing that we can do is peel back a little bit and see what actually is going on. And remember, the police are going through extraordinary lengths to protect what they are saying to people. And we really, in a democratic society, need to know what the police are doing too. That's all I'm saying. So, according to this, Randy starts the conversation with how it's going. Undercover says, "What's up, man? Just horny AF, you Telegram. Let's go, Randy. What's your telly?" And they start getting information, collecting evidence right away. Right away, they start getting evidence. You have face pick. What's your telly? All right. I guess that's your unique identifier. I'm not on Telegram. I don't know, but it certainly seems like it here by logic. And according to them, his telly, Mr. Sprinkle's telly, HMUDMV9, started a secret chat via Telegram and advised OCE, I'm mostly into young rape incest. You? I guess that's how you would read that. And he asked the OCE if they had any experience, and OCE said, anything, got anything pervy? So I know you're cool. All they're doing here with law enforcement is they're gathering evidence. Okay? Gathering evidence. But they were doing it up here before they even knew what he meant. Okay? So they have a profile out there where right away they're going at you, asking for things. Okay? Randy said, how's it going? All right. That's part of the problem I have here too, is you have to wonder if Randy would have been going after them absent anything else. And no, I'm not excusing Randy. Okay. But I do think it's very, very important that based on the video I just showed you, we understand, did they really look at all these files? Do they really understand what's on these files? Because according to what I just showed you, in the vast majority of these cases, they don't really look at what the file is. They compare it to a classification code that they have in their central computer bank that they classified. And they say it's like this, therefore it's child pornography. Okay? You have to ask. So Randy sends a video, okay, which certainly he should not have done, which indicates that he has this of a 9-year-old being molested. And he says, let's see, OCE immediately says, I'm a dad, spit roast him when they're talking about the undercover's 9-year-old, apparently. Okay. And then Randy says, "Is that your experience?" "Yeah, man, lots. Son is 9. Wish he was young, young again. Prefer very small. Can I see the boy?" And then OCE says, "I started him very young, used to play." So, again, law enforcement says over and over again, we just sit there and we wait. I mean, we don't do anything. Clearly, that is not the case. Clearly, they are helping this person commit a crime, okay? By engaging him immediately by saying, "Hey, send us some information so that we can get you for committing a crime," instead of sitting there waiting for something to happen. And that's how it really goes throughout the whole bit here, okay? And of course, this is another thing, point four, they say based on open source image searches. Well, according to what we know from when FBI was giving Stingray to local law enforcement and attempting to hide it, we have seen over and over again where FBI and others have, NSA have hidden their true means and even allowed cases to go away so that they wouldn't have to demonstrate their undercover technological resources. And here they always claim in these that they used open source image searches, but very often we find that's not true. Bonnie Burkhardt has done some good work on this in her book, Manufacturing Criminals. And she says, how she followed up some of these open source image searches, and they did not do what these folks claim that they did. Okay. So they're clearly using something else in the background and then claiming when they find something that they found it through open source. Okay. This happens quite a lot. You have to also understand too that they look through Verizon and AT&T. And T. And folks, look, all these companies cooperate with law enforcement before a subpoena has been issued. They do constant surveillance of the search terms that you use. This is according to not only Bonnie Burkhardt, but others. And in using those search terms, they then send it to NCMEC, and they just get an enormous number of reports as a result of that they can't possibly get to. They get to less than 1% of them. So it's possible that far worse people are being identified here who really do abuse people instead of merely sending videos around, which again isn't great. Um, but again, it's fair to question what law enforcement is doing as well. Okay. And, despite the subpoenas and everything, this took months and months and months to get information so that they could track his IP address and everything else, and when it was created and attach it to him, et cetera, et cetera. And here Verizon provides subscriber records. Well, as I just showed you in the videos, Verizon's entire legal team was fired. I don't know when that happened, but you have to wonder. I'm a Verizon subscriber. Verizon was not present at my trial, didn't know they had to be, and because of that, the judge wouldn't let the chats in. Chats that would have demonstrated what I was saying all along, that law enforcement and Elena Lowe, working for the Commonwealth, conflated chats in order to make their case. They took adult chats, they took non-adult, fake child chats, they put those together and they made a argument that was ultimately winning, even though we had defeated a couple of their arguments of pretrial, ultimately winning that somehow I knew that all these people were the same one person and they were not. And it's a tragedy that they have gotten away with that over and over again. But the judge refused to allow it because Verizon wasn't there to authenticate it. I've seen other cases, as I've told you, where they don't really care about that at all. Okay. It all depends on what the judge wants. And then once you get that, the appeals court doesn't particularly care about the nuances and the details of it. Okay. There's not much left in this except that they went to his home sometime in October 16th, just about a couple months ago, and Mr. Sprinkle talked to them because they will tell you things as they told me recently when they kicked in my door. Hey, would you give us a password? And I said, not on your life, based on what you did to me last time. When I cooperated, I had nothing to hide. So what did you do? You took the information, twisted it all around, and made it seem like it was something when in fact it was just trying to help somebody I thought was underage when it was presented to me. And I said, I'm not interested in a sexual relationship, but I'm certainly interested in getting you help. And of course, that was totally twisted around. So again, this is a excellent opportunity to remind people never talk to law enforcement. The guy was the agent who asked me in August if I would give him the passcode, and after I told him that, he went, he clearly did not like it because I made their jobs a lot more complicated. But again, how are you rewarded by your honesty and integrity when they want to make a case out of something? You're not. They are happy to destroy you using the full force of the United States government or the local government or whatever, and you have very little defense there. So again, do not talk to anyone. Sadly, Mr. Sprinkle does have an interest in this. It appears you have all this information that was on here, and that's very, very sad. I'm not excusing him at all, but I do think it is important to understand what the police do as well. Okay? You need to understand what the police are doing as well. So that's all I had here to mention. I guess one more postscript. Um, I think I received from Mark. Oh, I want to give shout out to Tammy Goodson for sending me that article about Mr. Sprinkle. But also, I think I need to credit Mark or someone else, forgive me, I don't remember, who sent me one a day or two ago where they talked about somebody having a CP. And the reporter made a comment at the end where he said, just like in the article I showed you, where they talk about what Mr. Sprinkle said, but not what the cops said. And they ask no questions about what the police did because the police are the good guys. And in this other article, the reporter who is reporting on this emphasizes several times that the person could get a minimum, he says, of 5 years and up to 20. Okay. But a minimum of five. Well, there are a lot of circumstances behind it, so you don't know. But he was outraged that you could get a minimum of five. I wish that they were equally outraged, okay, not to editorialize about a situation they maybe don't understand and why they don't ever ask, even when we pointed out to them, what was the motivation of the police? What were they doing on there? Why do they say all the time that they just hang out there and they don't do anything to engage? They just sit there when that's clearly not true. This is ICAC Unpacked for the 20th day of December 2025. Have a nice day.